Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. Just a little bit about history, about where I am today. I think it's a very interesting little story that I heard over here. That the city where I am is a coastal city, and it is a place where the present Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, his family lived prior to Israel's recreation in 1948. His father was actually doing business over here with his family. They had a synagogue here as well. Of course, there's no signs left of a synagogue here, but there is still remnants of the Jewish people that lived here. Interestingly, that family left this part of the world, and then they entered into Israel, and then from there, obviously, I'm pretty sure that Benjamin Netanyahu's father, he had some kind of business over here, and he took the business out and his money and etc. and left, and then started up in Israel. And then today, the Prime Minister, you see, I mean, what chances are there that for me to be in the city where where his family were living? It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, this is a kind of history you will never hear on TV. Because they won't tell you that. So they won't trace the lives of people where they've been prior to where they ended up. So I found this quite interesting that this was the case. I came here. I made there were a couple of families here that had invited me to perform 2 Torah marriages. It was very nice, I would say. It was very, very good. They welcomed me, and we performed 2 Torah marriages under the huppah. And I sat there. I spoke with the families, how they can better their lives. I spoke about why the need to better their lives in a particularly Torah way. Not it's not about going to a Christian. Well, let's just say a church of any type, denominational church. And some of these people had come out of churches. And also, not about going to a synagogue, because really, I mean, let's really think about it. The pure Torah, the laws, the statutes, the judgments, I mean, would one really say, in all honesty, would one really say that those are performed today outside of those places in the proper manner in which they are described? And I think that a lot of those laws are misunderstood and even misapplied. But what has happened, all those things have been replaced by tradition. I was speaking about Havdalah and Kiddush ceremony that people perform on Friday night and Saturday evening, and I asked the question, I said, well, where does the Torah command me to perform a Kiddush? Does it have anything to do with the Kohanim saying, does God tell the Kohanim that you need to perform a Kiddush on Friday night or the onset of the Shabbat? I said, does it tell me that I need to finish the Shabbat with the particular set of Havdalah prayers? And I said, yeah, sure. 2,000 years ago, Rabbinic Judaism had enacted thousands and thousands of traditions which today are held sacred by potentially Jews and Christians all over the world. But I told them, I said that I don't find them in the holy books that I read. I just don't find them there. And that's a problem for me, because I need to have something written down that says this is your law, this is your statutes, this is your judgment, these are your commandments. And this Pasha does within it, the Pasha Yitro, within it has the 10 commandments, which is when God made a covenant, a marital covenant with Israel under the mountain. Do you find any space there for a Havdalah ceremony, or do you find space there for a Kiddush ceremony? I certainly don't, and I challenge this notion, and I asked this question. I said, am I missing something, or do you actually have some piece of text that says, there was this particular piece of text in the book of Exodus, or maybe in the book of Deuteronomy that we missed? Everybody was silent, like they're like looking at my face. Well, yeah, I said, well, also tell me, where does it say that you need to start the Shabbat on Friday night? Does the Torah have that? And the person said, well, one of the people said that, we don't we count the days from sunset to sunset on based on Genesis, book of Genesis, chapters 1 to 5. And I said, well, Genesis chapter 1 Genesis chapter 1 verse 5, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. I said, are you even reading it correctly? Is that what it's saying? That these two have to be combined together to form a day. I said, of course you're missing a lot of information here. I said, let me give you something of interest, just something to think about. We need to think about. Let's come to Jesus's time. What did Jesus say about the day? What did he say? How many hours in a day? And they're like, they didn't obviously heard of these particular things. I said, well, in John chapter 11 verse 9, he is talking to his disciples, and then he says, are there not 12 hours in the day? So what does he tell you? He is telling everybody there is 12 hours. So I said, if he's telling you it's 12 hours, when do the 12 hours start? Are you telling me that I've got to start it on sunset, and then that would mean it'll finish the next morning? Well, he didn't confirm. Jesus of Nazareth didn't confirm that as a day. He said, is there not 12 hours in a day? And if we go back into the book of Genesis, if we really read it correctly, if you go to read it in context, it says God called the light day. It doesn't say God called the night day. It says God called the light day, meaning that's exactly what Jesus was referring to. Are there not 12 hours in a day? Well, when does the day start? According to the Torah, sunrise. I said everything revolves around the sun. Everything. I don't care what you tell me, what Rabbinic Judaism does out there today. It doesn't matter. They picked up something from Babylon, then they got it from the Grecian Empire, who forced them to give up Torah for a time. And just because they have changed their day to sunset day, it doesn't make it Torah-wise a sunset day. So I said, you will not find history. I sit over here and I said, I would, ask you to look historically, when did the priests keep the day? The Kohanim of Israel. When did the temple run? Did it start at sunset or did it start at sunrise? I said, I can ask you to go back, look at evidence. You can look at the Midrash. You can look at our books that are written historically, and they all talk about the priesthood never ever enacting a sunset day. It says temple always worked on a sunrise day. I said, there you have it. I said, if, for instance, we start with a sunset day, we have several problems. I said, in one area, God tells us that we got to keep the Yom Kippur, the fast, the 25-hour fast. I said, how do you keep a 25-hour fast? Like basically, because God tells you to start it at it says start it at sunset. Well, if it starts it at sunset, and that is the ending of the day, and you start it at sunset, and you go to the next day, that's only 24 hours, then you add another half a day, then you end up in the morning time period. So like, if I'm today's Saturday, if today was Yom Kippur, I started tonight, and tomorrow is Sunday evening, then I add another 12 hours, and then it's Sunday morning. That means I have to finish the fast in the morning, because actually God said, keep the fast for 1.5 days. They've probably never heard of this before. Because most people, they only read the verses in the book of Leviticus where God tells you to keep the fast. It just says, on the 10th day, it mentions it like this: on the 10th day, you keep the fast from even It just mentions even, and it doesn't really tell you clearly what that is. And most people don't bother to read beyond the commandment, because they'll go to 23, 26, I believe, and it says, and the Lord, Yahweh spoke unto Moses. The Lord said unto Moses, saying, and also on the 10th day of this month, it shall be a day of atonement. It shall be holy to you, and you shall afflict your souls and offer an offering. It doesn't talk about when you started there. It just says on the 10th day. And then it says you'll do no work, etc. And people stop reading at that point, and they don't read beyond that. And because they don't read beyond that, they miss the actual commandment, which says that you're to start it on the 9th on the evening. Well, how many evenings does the 9th have? Does the 9th have 2 evenings, or does the 9th have 1 evening? If the 9th has an evening, that means that day cannot begin at sunset. That's a contradiction. Because if your day begins at sunset, then you can't wrestle with that 9th evening. There's no way you're going to find a 9th evening. Because how are you going to make a 9th evening? Because that's what it says. Because if you read Leviticus 23:32, it says, it shall be unto you Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even. Means the 9th day has an evening. From evening till evening shall you celebrate. That means you start at the 9th evening into the 10th. So I said, if we really worked our hours, if today is the Sabbath on Saturday, my Yom Kippur cannot begin till Monday morning, because I have to go right around the clock. Or if yesterday was the 9th evening, then tonight sunset, it will technically only finish if the day begins at sunrise. If the day don't begin at sunrise, it can't finish. I have to run it to the following day, because the Jews believe today that the day is sunset to sunset. And I said that's a contradiction of Torah in the biggest scale possible. And that's not the only contradiction. There's hundreds of contradictions. But the Jews don't address it today because they've taken on tradition. The Christians don't object to tradition either. So the question is, where do we stand? Do we stand with tradition, or do we stand with Torah? And that's the question that everybody needs to ask themselves. Where do you stand today? Who do you listen to? And if you listen to the church, you should be in church on Sunday. If you listen to the Jews, you should be in synagogues on Friday night. But if you listen to me, both of those people are incorrect. So I said to my fellow Israelites, I said to them that I'm not here to tell you to give up the sunset day and start sunrise day. Whatever tradition you're taking upon yourself, that tradition you shall have to keep in your families. If this becomes something that you taken upon yourself, then this is something you'll continue with. And it's not about, well, do we do it on the sunrise and change? Because I said, I'm not here to make a church, and I'm not here to make a synagogue. I am simply passing through the city. And in my passing through the city, I see people that are not really doing what the Torah commands, but they're doing what they feel is what the Torah is saying. In other words, they're going by their feelings and not by what the command is. So either way, I said, since I'm not here to break anybody's church or break anybody's synagogue, I am still passing through. I'm not here to build a church and say I'm going to steal 100 students from that church and 100 students from another church or synagogue and make another group for 200 people. So I'm not even interested. I said, I pass through here as a sojourner, just as my father Abraham did. Passed through different places. He left instructions. He met some families. He left instructions and he moved on. That's my position. So I said, so therefore I leave you to critically examine everything. And if you are saying to me that we are trying to honor God from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, I'm happy about that. And I'll say continue to honor God Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. So that's where I left these people. And when I pick up the news, in the news, you probably heard it as well. Most of the news this week was about that particular Republican lady. Was it Marjorie Taylor? Was it, or what's her name? She's been, been spoken about a lot in the news. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, the Republican who has been spouting hatred and, my goodness, all sorts of conspiracy theories, and they were stripped her of her, what you call it, committees this week. And the sad part is this, that here's a sad part. The sad part is this, that there's a lot of people that support the kind of hatred. To me, as an observer outside of America today, all I see in America is really what's coming out of the Republican Party today is pure hatred, lies, and total BS. That's what I actually see from here at a distance. And I don't see any truth coming out of that party right now. It's in a disarray. It's not standing to its principles. It's supporting all kinds of conspiracy theories. And my goodness, I personally wouldn't even step anywhere near that party. And that's how bad it is. And I'm grateful and thankful that we have a president today that actually passed a 1.9 trillion package for the people of America without the help of the Republicans. That means that all of you can get $1,400 checks that can actually help you and your families. If you have 4 children, you're going to get a check of $5,600 that will mean something to you. And to me, that's the kind of person that I would say, he's a good man. He's a good man. He's thinking for the ordinary people. He wanted to make $15 an hour for people who do minimum wage. And I thought, there's a man who actually cares for Americans. And he's the president. At the end of the day, he's the president. He is a leader, leader in charge, commander in chief. Either way, I know a lot of people probably don't like him. But the Kohanim, the priesthood, always going to be on the side of the president, the ruling king. We always stand with the king, and that will always be the case. We don't make party alignment. We don't look at which party is in rule. We look at who is in rule, who is the king, and we go with the king. So to me, right now, in America, my chief and commander is President Joe Biden, and the policies that he is coming out with, I'm really happy that it's actually helping. It's going to help a lot of Americans. That is, in my opinion, what every president needs to do. Needs to help Americans. Now that this president wanted to pass a big bill, suddenly all the Republicans became budget deficit savers. And these same Republicans, well, you know better than me, behind closed door, what happens out there. It's a lot of politics. They don't care about people dying. They don't care about people having coronavirus. They don't care if you have food on your table or not. I've only seen one Republican that I could even say anything, good about, and that is Mitt Romney. If I got anything good to say, I'll have to say it about that particular Republican because he stands aside from the rest of them. He doesn't speak like them, and he doesn't act like them. So all I see coming out of the Republican Party is support for hatred, support for conspiracy theories, and support for this, that, and the other nonsense. Even Europe looks at that and says, what the heck is going on in America? Because, it's all we had is division, strife, and anger, against different groups of people. And sadly, the policies that were taken upon by the last government were not, conducive to peace, to reconciliation, to brotherhood. And that's really sad, I live, America is my home as well. I live there as well. And it's sad, though, when I see that, and when people ask me, and I have to give them a broader picture of America as a good nation, as a great nation. I don't go around telling them about a bad nation. I'll give them a good picture of America, that America is a great nation. We have a great president. We have great things going on in America. They're preparing to give the vaccines to the people who are ill, and they want to prevent even those that are healthy, they want to prevent the COVID-19. And I say, well, Baruch Hashem, it's great. America is a great nation, and the vaccines are free. And over here, the vaccines are here as well from China. Guess what? They're coming from a company called LG. I thought LG was a TV company in Japan. So when I read LG vaccines, I was like, sounds a little shocking. And they're coming from China, and they're charging people. LG. When did LG start making vaccines after TVs and telephones? So, and it turns out that the vaccines are not going to be given out free. Over here, they're telling people that you have to pay. I think it's something like, I don't know, it's about $30 maybe, $25, $30 to the amount. They have to pay something like that for a vaccine. And I can tell you pretty much that half of the population, probably say 70% of the population is going to say, no, thank you, we're not going to pay any money for it. We don't want it if we have to pay for it. Yeah, if it was free, I'm pretty sure they'll be lining up to get it. They'll be lining up to get it, because I can tell you that here in Pakistan, people are not so much against the vaccines. They are actually very much for them, but they want them free. They don't want them to have pay for them. Right, Rabbi Kefa. So in China, I think that they may be not charging their people, but here they want to charge everybody. And the interesting thing is this, that, I don't have a problem with the vaccine myself, personally, because I know sooner or later I have to take it. And I won't be taking the LG one, that's for sure. I'll probably go back to America and take a vaccine shot over there. And more likely probably be Johnson & Johnson than LNG, because I'm pretty sure the airlines are moving towards that direction where you have to have a vaccine in order to board a plane. So, people like me who travel, we have no choice but to take a vaccine. But as I explained to you earlier, but I have ways to mitigate the vaccine as well, to mitigate the side effects. So it depends, where you are in your specter. If you believe in conspiracy theories, then you definitely be one that will probably think that Satan is taking over and, America's falling apart and all that kind of thing. Some people are falling into that camp. And if you're like me, if you're an optimist, then you know that things are going to work out really well for everybody in the end. And we're going to come out of this great, whether it takes 2021 or whether it takes us into 2022, I'm pretty sure that with the 1.9 trillion package, a lot of people are going to be, stopped from being evicted in their homes. They're going to have Social Security payments. They're going to get $1,400 checks to top up to $2,000. And, a lot of things are going to happen out of this money. And I think there was also the $15 minimum pay, but I don't know if that is part of the package or not. I don't know about that. That may be a separate deal. But I know Rabbi Kefa was once telling me that in McDonald's over there in Texas, they do pay $15 for flipping burgers. I don't know if that's still the case or not. But, maybe they are close to minimum pay already over there. And I do believe, and I will say this publicly, that there should be at least a $15 minimum pay. I don't care what people think. I don't care what they know, because if you know anything about business and economics, then the more you give, the more you receive. That's exactly what the Bible says as well. The more you give, the more you receive. The less you give, the less you receive. That's actually true, both biblically, by Torah law, and by Gentile government law as well. That's what I've seen in my life as well. And Rabbi Kefa, you testify to that. The rich people, they make hospitals, they give money to hospitals, to charities, and they receive more money. And they get more money in big business as well. Right. And Rabbi Kefa is saying that fast food chicken starts you at $15 as well. So there's all that, the more you give, the more you receive. That's why God says, open your hand. It doesn't say close your hand or tighten your fist. It's open your hand so that you can give. And it says water sparingly, meaning that give with a grateful heart, give with a conscientious heart, not with a mean, stingy, fashion, trying to squeeze everything, because money will go one direction or another when we squeeze it, one way or the other. And when you give with a sparing heart, then God will bring it in. Remember, money is energy, and money circulates. And if the energy, if you have a relationship with money and the energy circulates correctly, you shall never be without that energy. You will never be without it. But if you have a bad relationship, like you have a bad relationship with your spouse, well, where you and me both know that where there is a bad relationship with the spouse, there's always fights, there's always quarrels, and there's never peace in that home. And I was referred to a movie director just this week, a movie director in America that wanted me to look at some of the he made some documentary movie in India, and he wanted me to have a look at it to see that, it seemed to be the right detail. It's like a musical. And I saw some of it today, some of it I saw yesterday and day before, and I really liked it because, it's just beautiful. I thought the songs in that movie were beautiful. And I've yet to give that director a report back, but I need to finish the rest of the movie clips that he sent me to see. And basically, part of the song in there, the poem is that if there's no peace in you, then there's no peace in me. I really like that phrase. If there's no peace in you, there's no peace in me. And if there's no peace in me, then there can be no peace in the world. Now that brings us directly to Jesus' saying. If you understand, if you've read the Bible and you've probably gone to churches, and that's exactly what Jesus said. He said that the kingdom of God is within. Well, if you have the kingdom of God, then you have peace. Then you're not going to be running over there to the left, over there to the right, and chasing this conspiracy and that conspiracy. The question is, do you have peace? If there's no peace in you, then there can be no peace in the world. Because your internal is already in strife. And when I heard those phrases in that movie, in that song, I thought, what beautiful song. If there's no peace in me, there can be no peace in the world. And if there's no peace in you, then there can be no peace in me. Meaning that if outside all they're going to do is come out with conspiracy theories and this and that and the other, then how can you have peace? If that's what you're watching, if that's what you spend your time watching, that mayhem and chaos theory and mayhem theory, then surely you're not going to be in peace either. Your own life's going to be in turmoil because you have allowed the external. Because remember, what is internal is external. What your interior, you will see exterior. And Rabbi Kefa made that point, very well last week, that your inside is all about what you will see on the outside is what comes from the inside. So with that, I thought it was probably another time for us to look at Yeshua, Jesus' words, and see what he said and what he meant. And Pasha, Yitro, it's about Yitro. It was a father of Moses, as you know. It was the father of Zipporah as well, Moses' wife. And the little strife that Moses went through with his wife. And then, of course, the father brought her back. Moses sent her away. The father brought her back. And the father blessed the God of Israel. And then after that, the God of Abraham, he brought them under the canopy of the mountain. He then blessed them. He then gave them the law, the ketubah, the covenant, which is kind of beautifully illustrated in the book of Exodus, chapters 20. And then he, after giving them instructions, he told them that what they should, and should not do, and then how they're going to be blessed, and how they shouldn't be, aligning with certain principles out there, so that they do not get, they do not get into problems and troubles. And also then when what we read last week was that God did not take them through the land of the Philistines, so that they do not see war and do not get afraid and go back to Egypt. So likewise, around us, I'm pretty sure that around us today in many countries there's chaos, there is, concern, and there is awfully a lot of fear with COVID-19, a lot of fear today. And I believe that Australia, a couple of days back, they had a complete lockdown in one of their cities, areas where they found one case of this virus. So, I mean, those of you, there were some people, I'm not going to put names to people's, ideas, but there were some people who believed that COVID-19 was just a hoax and it didn't exist. Well, I can tell you that people have died in this country where I am from so-called COVID-19. Well, if COVID-19 was a hoax, then these people falling around me, I know it's not that many as America. America right now, I think the numbers have gone up above 450,000. So we're definitely nowhere near that, but still we had some people die from COVID-19 here. We had people die from COVID-19 in the UK. I mean, UK people can't turn around. I got people in this room from UK and they can't turn around and tell me that it's a hoax. Nobody's dying. It's all made up. It's just the flu. And this is what some people want to believe. So, be careful about what you believe in, because it can affect your health. And things can, come around 180 degrees. So, protect yourselves. Keep yourselves topped up with the necessary, like for instance, selenium, zinc, magnesium, things that will up your immune system. You want to take those supplements to protect yourselves so that you don't, end up being a figure, a number in the system that says, that's another number. Let's add that into the equation as well, that another person's got COVID-19. So, that's what's happening. And by the way, in one family, when one family member gets it, all the remainder of the family gets it. That's what I've seen in England. When one family member got it, he gave it to everybody else. It's so fast and very infectious, especially the British variety. I think I heard about American variety of different COVID-19s, that in one particular case, they had a birthday party and they gave it to everybody in the birthday party. So, America also has a South African variety. It has a Brazil variety. England has a South Africa variety, which is highly infectious. Olivier is saying he's from France. He's saying that my cousin died of COVID-19. She was 56. Well, 56 isn't exactly old age. And I'm very sorry to hear that, Olivier, for your cousin. That sadly is a young age to die. It's hardly just come, you're not even retired yet. You hardly come out of, you come into maturity and then you're dead. Sadly, many people have died and continue to die because of this disease due to either lack of information or something else. And yes, and Rabbi Kefa, if you have, health conditions, I think those people are very vulnerable who have health conditions, and they need to be ultra careful of how they go about their lives. So, coming back to our lecture for this week. Yeah, Olivia is saying that yes, she had health conditions, and that may be why. See, when this particular virus, it affects your system, it does affect your system more harshly if you have underlying conditions. So don't take it as a hoax. Be very careful and mindful that you need to, when you're around people who have COVID-19, you may need to be in masks, may need to protect yourselves, protect your homes, use your disinfectant in the house, your sanitizer on your hands when you go in and out. Be mindful of that, because I think it's important that we take precautions to protect ourselves and protect our families, because this is not a joke. This is serious stuff going on. And with that, so I was going to look at the words of Jesus, and I wanted to look at book of Matthew, chapters 5, where we have all these multitudes that go up onto the mountain or the hill, and where he's sitting with his disciples. And it says, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, in Ruach, for there is the kingdom of Shemaim, the kingdom of God. Now, this poor here, it doesn't mean poor like in absolute, zero finance. It's not talking about that kind of poor. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for there's a kingdom of Shemaim. What does that actually mean? Well, let me tell you, we need to read the word spirit here. Needs to be referenced with imagination, not so much with what you call it, we generally associate poverty with poorness or something. Blessed are the poor in Ruach, for theirs is the kingdom of Shemaim. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the land. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst and pursue for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Well, all these setup, all these, verses from 3 to verses 7, and blessed are the clean in heart, for they shall see Elohim. Or maybe your Bible says something else. Instead of clean, it might say, maybe it uses a word perfect, or it might use another word, depending on what translation that you're reading. And then it says, blessed are the pure. It might say pure, perfect, or clean. In my case, HTHS or the Abrahamic-Faith Bible says, blessed are the clean in heart, for they shall see Elohim. And blessed are those who pursue shalom. Remember, we spoke about peace. If there's no peace in you, or if there's no peace in me, I can't have peace in you. Blessed are those who pursue shalom, for those who pursue peace, for they shall be called the children of God, children of Elohim. So what all these verses are talking about, imaginative acts. They're all speaking about imaginative acts. They're all saying, in a nutshell, that if you are using your imagination the correct way, then you shall have happy conditions. It's only talking about conditions based on your imagination. It's not talking about if you're poor. It's not talking about if you're rich in wealth, or if you have a big house or a small house. Nothing to do with any of those things. It is simply telling you that if correctly you practice the perfect law, you will see happiness in your life. So if I come back to the peace analogy, if I have peace inside me, then I will see peace outside of me. It's very simple, and that is true. Because if your inside is in turmoil, if you're angry, if you're sad, then all you will come across is angry people and sad people, because that's what that's what you're creating. You're creating angry and sad people. So interestingly, I want to give an example of that as well, where possible. I'll give you an example, and the example is this: that, for instance, when you see soldiers going to war, each soldier carries a hatred in their heart, for the enemy, to kill the enemy. Well, what do they see outside? Similar hatred. On the opposite end, the enemy is also bringing in hatred against them. So both parties start off with hate, with kill or be killed attitude. And interestingly, that is a condition of the human soul in normal circumstances outside of war. When you're at home and your nation's not at war, semi-peace, maybe they're at war in different regions like America, semi-peace, and then you have the choice to be either at peace or either at anguish. You have those choices for your life. You can decide that you can live in peace and you can manifest faster, or you can live in strife and you manifest nada, nothing. And then you wonder why things are not coming to pass, why things are not materializing. Now, we will look at that because there are things, and we give meanings to things. We attach meanings to things, and they affect us. Like, for instance, if I attach, not just meaning I mean people. If people attach a meaning to eating a Mac burger, and if they attach the meaning that if I eat a Mac burger, then they say they'll get a heart attack. Well, then they have attached a meaning to the burger that if I eat a burger, they say they'll get a heart attack. And if they say, if I eat chocolate, I will get fat or I will gain weight. See, these are meanings, and we as humans, we have the habit of doing that. Like if you feel like eating an ice cream, you go to eat an ice cream, and some people have attached the meaning to ice cream, you're going to get fat. They'll tell you, you're going to get fat because you eat too much ice cream. So that is a meaning that people attach to. In manifesting law, we must not attach any meaning to anything. Means that if I want to eat a burger, I don't need to attach any meaning to it. If I want to eat an ice cream, I should attach no meaning to that. And if I want to eat something else, then I should attach no meaning to that. Meanings can make you manifest that. In other words, when you go and you say, if you said to yourself that if I eat Mac burger every day, then I'm likely to get a heart attack. You already ascribed that meaning. You already have taken that meaning and you applied it to yourself. Means that you made an affirmation for yourself saying that if you eat the burger, you're going to die because you're going to have a heart attack. And meanings can manifest. So you must start, that's right, with the belief. If you, as Rabbi Kefa saying, meanings manifest if you believe it. So if you believe that by eating candy, Americans call chocolate candy, we call it chocolates in England. So if you eat candy, and if you attach the meaning to candy, that if you eat candy, you're going to put on weight, then guess what? You will put on weight because that is your manifestation. You believe it already. You see, already automatically you have put your body in that mode. Your subconscious, your everything is already aligned. And then all you got to do is eat candy and voila, your weight goes up because that is your belief. And I can't challenge your belief. Just as much as you can't challenge my belief, I can't challenge your belief because I do not have my right over your free will. Just as much as you don't have over mine. So I can't override your free will. If your free will says that a candy will give you overweight, then that's what's going to come to pass. Even if my free will says no, it doesn't, but your free will says yes, it does. And you will get that. So your free will wins because your free will overrides everybody else's free will. So likewise, this is something that you need to think about because I am pretty sure that a lot of you today are operating with meanings behind items in your life. Like if you eat chicken, like if you eat beef, like if you eat candy, if you drink soda. All of you have attached meanings to that. So you need to think about it. What meaning have I attached to drinking soda? By the way, for those in England, when they say drinking soda, they're talking about drinking Coke or 7-Up. The Americans say we drink soda. So here in Pakistan, they just say soft drinks. So you have to be mindful of your belief system with meanings because meanings will manifest a lot faster because that is your belief system automatic. So you need to start, maybe you need to go through a revision test and revise all the meanings of things that you do and believe. That will help you in your manifestation process of reducing those things in your life. So, each person will have different meanings to different words. And that's something I thought would be important for me to mention, that you need to drop all meanings and start fresh. Jesus answered, in John 14:6, he said, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Means that if you believe that Jesus is within you, or if you believe the Holy Spirit is within you, then you will manifest things quicker. You will. Now, we're not talking here about what is true and what is not true, what is fact and what is not fact. Facts are totally irrelevant. They are totally irrelevant of what you believe. Facts have no part to play. If you believe that Jesus is within you, if you believe that the Holy Spirit is within you, then you will manifest according to that belief. That is why I say to the people, I have absolutely no problem if you believe Yeshua is a Messiah, or if you don't believe, either way I don't have a problem with it. Because that is your belief system. And your belief system is what you manifest. And so when Jesus was saying that, when he uses the words, we need to understand what he actually meant. I am the way and the truth and the life. Now, those three words can be applied to Torah law. They can be applied to manifesting law, which comes from the Torah law. It says that using the principles of Torah, you can manifest whatever you want. That's basically what Jesus said in a nutshell. And then he says in Matthew 6:33, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you. Remember I told you what righteousness is. Righteousness is when you hit the mark. And hitting the mark is Torah. Means that when you get your manifestations, you've hit the mark. That is Torah, by the way. Trying to get a house, manifesting a house, manifesting a car, manifesting a nice job, that is all part of righteousness. It is not something, some climb to a mountain. It's not like, climbing K2 mountain or climbing the biggest mountain in the world. Nothing to do with that. Himalayan mountains, it's nothing to do with that side. It's more to do with your belief system and what you believe. And Jesus simply honed in on that and said, if you use it this particular way, then you will manifest what you desire. And he said, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. Well, ask where, seek where, and knock where. Basically, you knock at your mind's door. If you open the subconscious door, which connects with God, then whatever you ask will come to pass. He says, for everyone who asks, receives. Well, if you don't ask, means if you don't write an affirmation, if you don't believe in it, why should you receive it? It starts with believing. It starts with deciding what you want. If you decided that you want a $100,000 job, then you write it down. Then you start speaking it out. And then you start visualizing it. And then you will receive it. Because your whole system is working now in coherence to bring that into the 3D reality. Now, interestingly, you might think that you are creating, because a lot of people use the word co-creator, or creator or co-creator. Either way, they're just words to explain. Technically, you're not a co-creator and you're not a creator. Technically, you're not. Let me tell you. Let me give you a little illustration. If you wanted to be with a person, and that person, is somebody that you love, and you want to be with them, for instance, or maybe you had a breakup and you're trying to restore your breakup with that person. Well, there are infinite, out there, and we could look at it another way as well. We could look at it two different ways. I'll give you two different examples. One meaning of this, you're in a breakup situation, you want to restore your relationship, and one of those situations to be healed is where you see yourselves coming together, back together. That's one meaning in which you could be manifesting, and you could say, I like to go back to that person I love, and we mend our relationship together. So you basically go back with your partner, husband or wife, and or something else like that. And when you go back with them, or girlfriend, boyfriend, and if you go back to them, you then have ascribed a meaning to your manifestation. Now, is that something that you're creating? Are you creating that you being together with your, let's just say, husband, for argument's sake, or husband to the wife? And the answer is no. That is one particular meaning. Another way to look at it is that you might say, well, what if you don't agree with me and we don't make up? What if you don't like me? What if he finds another beautiful girl? So these are all different meanings that you're giving to your situation, which means that in your situation, in your universe, you have maybe 4, maybe 5 varieties. You have one variety in which your universe says that your boyfriend or your husband is with another woman who is much more prettier. In one version, he doesn't want to get back to you. In another version, he has got back to you and you're both living together, happily together. That's 3 versions. In the 4th version, he's left, maybe he's left town and it's gone somewhere else and he's found another woman, he's married her, he's already had children, and maybe in another meaning is that he's won the lottery and has decided to spend it with somebody else, and you are there with your eyes bawling out that why couldn't I have a piece of the pie? It's 5 meanings, 5 universes. These are 5 universes. So the universes are infinite and they're already created. Now don't think to yourself that you're creating them. No, they're already created. They're already out there. All these 5 situations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are already out there. The question is, which one are you going to call? Are you going to call the one where he wins the lottery? Are you going to call the one where he is already attached with another woman? Which one are you going to call into your life? That depends on you entirely. In another situation, I could see a situation in which a man is a millionaire. In one universe, a man, let's take Rabbi Kefa. In one universe, Rabbi Kefa is a millionaire. In another universe, Rabbi Kefa is a billionaire. In another universe, Rabbi Kefa is a middle-class man. Then in another universe, Rabbi Kefa has no money. And then we have another universe where Rabbi Kefa is probably up on top of a mountain living in a cave. So, question is, which of those 5 universes that are out there, they're all out there. They're already out there. Which one of those universes is Rabbi Kefa going to call for himself? Is he going to call the one where he's a millionaire? Is he going to call the one where he's a billionaire, or the others? Now, he's not creating any of them. He's not going to go and create the one where he's a billionaire because they already exist. He just needs to call them out. And if you go back to the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, this is where it will help you tremendously, because the Abrahamic-Faith Bible does not, at times there are words that are written that speak about not creating but calling out. In one particular area of the text, I think it says, let me see if I can find that verse over here. Here it is in verse 8. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 8, it says, and Elohim powers called the expanse Shamayim. Called the expanse. So the evening and the morning were Yom Shani. So it goes on, and then it talks about the different lands, the collecting together of the lands which Elohim calls out. He calls them out. And that's kind of interesting. Let's see, where are we? Because if we read verse 1, where it says, in the beginning Elohim powers created the Shamayim, created the heavens and the land. This is a sum total of everything has been created. Every universe, every different variety, every different types, all now God's going to do is call everything out one by one. So this is why I said that when Rabbi Kefa, Rabbi Kefa, what he will do, he will call out what he wants. Because let me take you to one particular scenario, that in a scenario when we had the plague sent to Pharaoh in chapter 8 of Exodus, verse 12, it says, and Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moshe called out to Yahweh concerning the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh, meaning that the manifestation was already there. Time does not really, Olivia, time doesn't matter. It's only states, right? So we are talking about different states. So yes, you can call it states. We have 5 states. I'm giving you a complete explanation of Rabbi Kefa's 5 different states. In one, he's a billionaire. In another, he's a millionaire. In another, he's a middle-class man living with his family. In another state, he is living on a mountaintop. In another state, he's got no money, he's living on a street. Now, which state does Rabbi Kefa call out is the one that will come manifest? Because they're all out there. All those states don't need to be created. He needs to call them out. And the state that he calls out will become the Rabbi Kefa that he wants to be. Because they're all out there. A universe is infinite with these states. We need to call out the state we want for ourselves in basic terminology. This is why Jesus turned around and said to his disciples that what you believe, you will receive. Remember I spoke about earlier about your manifesting automatically whatever meaning you assign to candy or chocolate, and whatever meaning you assign to soda, and whatever meaning you assign to McBurgers. You will automatically manifest those because that state is automatic. And you want to go into that kind of manifesting process, where if you want to manifest $1 million, you need to have that automatic state where you believe you are a millionaire. You are $1 million. So your affirmation will be, I'm $1 million. That's your affirmation. And with that affirmation, you're calling that state into existence. It's already out there somewhere in another universe, in quantum therapy, in quantum physics. It's already out there in another part of the universe, but you're calling it out. You're saying, you are me. Come into my life. And then it will come into your life. I gave the example last week of the land and the manifesting the house. So if you went to a piece of land and you wanted to build a house and you called your house in that land, let's assume at a basic level that you go to a part of America and you say, well, I like this state, I like this city, and I like to have my house here. Now, you haven't built the house, you're not desiring to build a house. All you're saying is that I am claiming a piece of this land for my house. Now, whether the house comes from a new build, whether it comes from an existing build, it's already there. You simply claimed it. And once you claimed it, you work on that claim. It's like filing a claim in the court. And you work on that claim until that claim is met. That is basically the perfect law. That is how you implement it and you bring it into your reality. And when you do that, when you do bring it into your reality, and then you're done. Basically, we're talking about parallel universes. In parallel universes, you already have the house. Question is, are you calling it out or not? In same parallel universes, you're a millionaire or a billionaire, or you're poultry poor. Which one are you? Are you the poultry poor person? Are you the one living in a cave on top of a mountain? Or are you the one who's a billionaire with lots of properties, cars, wealth, businesses? Which one are you? And whatever you call out, that you shall be. And that is the perfect law that the God of Abraham, he gave to our people. He said, here is the law and here is the application. And he called it into being. This is why God says, let the weak say I'm strong. He doesn't say, let the weak say I am weak. He says, let the weak say I am strong. Meaning that you call into existence what you desire to be. And then everything you do is around that. If you continue to call your weak side of you into being, then that might be, the similar to the giving meaning to candy. If you ascribe the meaning to going to a Christmas party, for instance, if you ascribe the meaning, if I go to a Christmas party and eat like a pig, then I'm going to be fat, then that's what the end result is. The end result is you're going to put on weight. But if you ascribe the meaning that I have a faster metabolism, I never get fat, then that's what's going to mean. That's what's going to happen. So, the question is, what do you believe? What do you call into existence? If you call into existence disease, then disease will come. If you call into existence health, I am perfect health, then perfect health will come. If you keep, talking about your arm that hurts, then arm that hurts is being manifested every time you speak about it. But if you continue to say that my body is perfect, my arm is wonderful, I am, the epitome of great health, guess what's coming into your life? Think about it. So these are principles. These are principles of the holy books that you read. And these principles need to be applied correctly. Because once you apply them correctly, there is no reason why you can't be the next millionaire or why you can't have $1 billion. There's absolutely no reason for that. It's all about your which system, which belief, which state. And in other words, which state you call into being. Whatever state you call into being is the state you're going to receive. If the state you call into being is misery and depression, then misery and depression will follow you wherever you go. If all you talk about is you're being burnt out, then all you will be is burnt out. But if you talk about how great you are, if you talk about you have a wonderful body, if you talk about I am awesome, then that's what you're going to be. You're going to be awesome. You're going to be great. So you need to think about the words that you speak, because they will be what you will become. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Rabbi Kefa. So speak great words for yourself. Always speak good words for yourself. Always write beautiful manifestations for yourself. Never ever use negative or words that will mean different. So you should always have great words. You should start with, I am grateful for the many blessings in my life. I am worthy. I'm enough. You should say things like, I'm absolutely certain, or I'm certain I'm $1 billion, or I'm $1 million. These are the kind of words you need to speak, not the words that say, oh, that bill again. That's a manifestation, by the way. And you say, that bill again, here it comes. But when you speak the words that I'm great, I'm $1 million, I am $100 million, I am $500 million, when you speak those words, that's what you manifest. And Yael is saying that that's how her shoulder was healed. I think her shoulder had pain, and she spoke those words into existence for her shoulder to be healed, and her shoulder is healed. Praise God for that. Okay, Rabbi Kefa, over to you. Todah, have a great Shabbat.
Todah, Rabbi Hakohim, Todah. This lecture was just great. It was like one of the greatest lectures I've heard in a long time. Really, it was a great lecture because it put everything in perspective. I'm pretty sure the family agrees with me. It really put everything in perspective when you understand that you don't have to work hard at creating. It is like already out there, and just like I'm gonna use one of Rabbi Zachariah's terminologies, you just have to reel in what you want. You just have to hook it, reel it in. The 10-pounder, whatever, 15-pounder, you just reel that baby in. What I tell you, that's beautiful, because when you understand that you don't have to create it, it's already out there for the taking. You just have to go grab it and take it and claim it as yours. And at the end of the day, you have to believe that it is yours, so that it can come to you. What's going to come to you if you don't believe in it? I tell you, beautiful, Hakoin. I tell you, just totally, what a revelation. And what Hakohen said in his lecture, I'm going to piggyback on. He said this, family. Those of you who are listening via FaceTime, whatever's out there, PayPal, Pal Talk, and those of you listening on YouTube or whatever, Facebook, whatever device or social media outlet that's out there. That's a whole nother story over here in itself, Hakohen. I don't know if what you've been following what's going on with all this social media and the big tech and all this, and I tell you, it's something else. But I firmly believe diversity is in order, is that people can choose when they can select what they want to choose. And I firmly believe that will bring you to neutrality. But when you try to force things on people, you're gonna get revolt. And you're gonna get not so much revolt in the means of violence, but revolt in the means of people walking away with their dollars. And you're seeing that. So Eddies and all of you investors, pay close attention to that. There's going to be a lot of changes that go on in the social media front with big tech. Big tech is also doing a lot of great things, a lot of wonderful things as well. As you see you see Bezos, he has stepped down as the CEO of Amazon to do other things. So, look for a lot of great things to be happening going forward. A lot of great things. On the tech side, I would encourage you all to consider looking at the consumer products side as well as the material side. How many of you see going on with with gold and with silver? So a lot of the market, is ramping up. It's ramping up. I'm telling you, there's going to be a great boom here in North America. The market, America is ramping up for many great things to come ahead. So I think it's very, very important that we prepare ourselves for that and benefit from it, because one of the great things that President Biden is doing as well, and I'm totally happy to see, is that, he's giving out more money. Because, at the end of the day, you have to look at things this way. I really, it doesn't matter what country that you're in right now. Your leadership, you did not choose to want to shut down. How many of you in this room just chose to just want to shut down? Shut down from your job, shut down from your way of life, shut down from going to eat at a restaurant. You didn't choose that. You were told to do that. You were told to shut down by your government. So, isn't it kind of apropos and just right and fair for your government to benefit you for that and not penalize you for them telling you to shut down, for them telling you to stay at home and to isolate and show social distance and to not go anywhere? They told you to do that, and you obeyed. So there should be there should be repercussions for that as well, reparations as well, as to where that they pay you for that to try to make you right and try to bring things in neutrality to where things are just right and fair for you. And I think that's totally fair. I don't know, Oliver, can you tell me if your governments are trying to do that for you guys as well? Have they been talking about doing that for you guys as well, as far as stimulating you guys with stimulus checks? Maybe even more than one. Oliver, have you even received a stimulus check? Have you received a stimulus check to date from your government? Because I firmly believe these governments need to step up and do this, because these governments are the ones that told you to shut down. Now, to be just right and fair, if they're going to tell you to shut down and not go to work, stay at home, then they need, on the flip side, to make it right for you, and to right their wrong. Only for those who shut down, okay. So then they need to make it right, because, well, let me tell you what's going on here in America. Here in America, they're getting ready to get another stimulus check. And from what President Biden is talking about, this won't be the last stimulus check. Maybe there'll be another one to come after this. But as you know, he's talking about go big. So go big means to help everybody else out, to help everybody, to bring them to some semblance of balance, because they've been off balance because they haven't been able to do things they want to do. Oliver's saying, I'm in the e-learning industry and I work from home mostly. Okay, so that's a great thing as well. And also, you guys, I want you guys to look at these, these internet stocks these stocks that are based on education. There's a couple of great stocks out there, and I'm talking about individual stocks, not so much ETFs. But look at the individual stocks that have just been booming. They have better track records than Amazon and Microsoft put together. They've just been booming because of the environment, like Ollie was talking about, the environment of having to work from home or work on the internet. Regardless of what the new normal is going to be, the internet is still going to play a key role. With the new normal, I don't see, there'll be business travel, but most things will still be done from a distance. So you need to look at those, especially the e-learning sites, because I'm telling you, a lot of parents here in North America are unhappy with the educational system. Teachers not want to go back to work for fear of the corona and blah, blah, blah. And this, that, the other, and the third. They don't want to work. But yet, the teachers in America are still collecting a paycheck. But they don't want to go to work. Thus, you got parents that, they're stuck at home with these children. And, some of them can't work because they can't find a babysitter. Babysitting is so expensive and blah, blah, blah. So at the end of the day, so parents are pulling their children out of the public school system, and they're looking for other avenues to teach their children. Now, I tell you full disclosure, I'm using ABC Mouse for Nakshan. That's a great website. I don't know if you've ever been there. How many of you are familiar with ABC Mouse? I would encourage you to go to it if you have children. Those of you who are listening on Facebook or listening on YouTube, it's a great website that teaches your children, interacts, with your whatever kind of device that you have, if it's a laptop or if it's a tablet, to where your children can interact and they can learn at the same time. But it's fun interaction, but at the same time they're learning. And there are a lot of these tools out there that are coming up with, and hey, don't sleep on the gaming industry as well. I would encourage you all to look at gaming stocks as well. That's going to be another biggie as well, because people are staying home. They're playing a lot more video games, and that's just the facts on the ground. Gambling, I would encourage you to look at PENN. That's a great stock to be involved with. NVIDIA Shield, as Yael wanted to tend to say. So there is a lot of productivity going on. And I tell you, the engines are starting to move, not only here in North America, but around the world. North America is a great shepherd nation. But around the world, the engines are starting to really they want to start to get the engines going again. And in this new normal, there's going to be a lot of businesses that start to boom. There's a future, people looking at SPACs. There's a future, Amazons and future Apples being created and being, let's just say, invented right now. So you may want to look at getting in on this. Now, my lead up is for this right here is what I want to tell family and those of you who are listening on Facebook or listening via YouTube. You hear a lot of stories about people doing whatever they want to do with them, blah, blah, blah. I saw one on YouTube where one guy, he had a moving business, and he received a big stimulus check. They said around 50 employees with his moving business. But when he received the stimulus check, he took it and he went and bought a Lamborghini with it. He didn't use it on his employees. And he went on a lavish spending spree where he went to, all these Saks Fifth Avenue, and he bought a lot of things for himself and not put that monies and circulate that monies back into his business and his employees as well. Well, karma came and bit him in the butt, and they found out about it, and he's having to pay that back as well because he used the money fraudulently. He didn't use it what it was supposed to be used for. But yet at the same time, I want to tell you about the story. I don't know how many of you have heard this story that it happened that it came about this week where this man, he received a $3,200 stimulus check. And he honestly said, look, I didn't need the stimulus check. I really didn't need it, but the government gave me the stimulus check. So you know what he did with the stimulus check? Your investors are going to love this story. And those of you who are aspiring to invest are going to love this story as well. Well, he took the stimulus check and he opened up a Robinhood account. Now, I know all of you are hearing a lot of things about what's going on with Robinhood and blah, blah, blah. I would encourage y'all to stay neutral. Robinhood has made a lot of people wealthy and has really put, folks who have no kind of understanding of investing on the road to understanding investment and on the road to making money as well while they're investing in the investment side of things. Well, this man opened up a Robinhood account and he took that $3,200 and he invested it in a couple of stocks. Well, one of the stocks, surprise, that he did invest in was GameStop. He got in at GameStop when it was like $35 or $45, somewhere in there. And he sold his GameStop stock when it was at $400, Eddie. Now, in total, off of that one stock alone, that $3,200 investment. Now, he didn't invest all of that in GameStop. He had 4 other stocks. I think one of them, another one may have been AMC and a couple others. He's still holding his AMC, by the way, for disclosure. He said, I'm still holding AMC and holding out for, whatever I'm going to get from it. But when he sold his GameStop stock, he collected $3,000, not $36,000 off of that $3,000 investment. $36,000. And this all happened within maybe a week. This all happened within a week. 2 weeks at the most. So do you see how your money can make money for you? You see how when you take these talents and use them and invest, and so the man was like, well, don't you consider this more like gambling? He's like, no, I did my homework. He said, I was looking, and I tell you, how many of you can agree with me? With this internet age, there's so much free information that you can get on investments, on stocks, on a particular company. It's free. And you can just plug in and there's just free information just right there. So he said, look, I just did my homework. He said, well, what homework did you do? He said, I did my homework. I saw GameStop going up, and I saw everybody getting into GameStop. And so I said, well, let me get in too. He said, let me get in too. He did his homework. He let, believe it or not, he let other people do his homework for you. And I guarantee you, I'm going to tell you, you can pay people to do your homework for you. Or you can use these particular sites, set up or run some scanners on your particular brokerage account, and you can scan for particular stocks. You let the scanner, you let this technology work for you, not against you. So so off of that $3,000 investment, $3,200 investment from a stimulus check, monies that came to him, he manifested those monies because the monies came to him. And get this, here's the story behind this man. This man is a newlywed. He just married. He just had his firstborn child, which was a son. He was like, so it's like, well, how did you know to get out of GameStop stock? He was like, well, when I consulted with my wife, he said it like this. He said, when I consulted with my wife, she said, we could use this money to buy Pampers and things like this for the baby and formula and da-da-da. He was like, this was a great investment for my family. Because at the end of the day, that's what he was doing it for. He had a motive. He had a rhyme behind his reason. And it was to what? Assist his family. And I know all of you family members are just the same way. For you, it's family comes first. Family comes first. And so we're going to look at this in this parsha as well. You see this as well with Moshe. His family came first. It was his family that was first. His family just needed some correction. Then his family came back to him. Because his parsha is telling us and showing us that the family is first. Because you got to figure, why would the parsha even mention that the father-in-law is bringing the family back? The wife, and the children are coming back to Moses after Moses is out here handling his business. And then his family comes in when things kind of settle down. There's a lot behind that, and you learn from our Kohen, our Kohen that, there's a lot behind that, in relations. We're going to talk about relations in a minute as well. But I just wanted you all to understand this. And for those of you who are listening via Facebook or you're listening on YouTube or even your family members that are live here in this room right now, if you're thinking that Rabbi Kefa is saying, oh, Rabbi Kefa is telling me to take my stimulus check when I get it and invest it. I'm saying for you to take that stimulus check. I'm not saying for you to invest it, especially if you don't know what you're doing, full disclosure. This is not an investment forum, but I am telling you to use your monies wisely to be beneficial to you. And let your monies work for you, not against you. Too many times, because of what our coach said in his lecture, that we believe money is working against us, and that's just what happens to us. That's just what we reel in. We reel in money working against us. But we need to change our mindset and believe that money is working for you. Because regardless of what you may say, you need money to do to manipulate and to dominate this earth. You have to have money to do that. You have to have some form of currency to make that happen for yourself. If that's the particular choice that you make, and out of all the universal choices that you can make, if you reel in the choice to just say, well, yeah, I want to be one that is responsible, and I want to be one I want to leave a legacy and leave something behind of great value to humanity as a human being. That's what I want to do. Or do you want to be the one that say, well, I just want to be the one that just wants to be, I like to call myself poor. I want to stay poor because that's what I believe I'm going to be. If that's you, then so be it. Good, because I want to tell you something, believe it or not, if any of you have ever talked to homeless people, some people just like living that way. They love that. They love that way of life. And if they love that way of life, then so be it. So you can't tell somebody that's homeless when you don't know their backstory. You just can't go up to them and tell them, well, look, hey, you need to go and get a job and blah, 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 so you can, get a house for yourself. Some people don't want that. They're not happy that way. They're happy moving to and fro. There's a song back in the day that went, Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all he left me was alone. Anybody ever remember that? Well, I'll tell you. Some people are just happy being that way, a rolling stone. Go moving from to and fro and to and fro and to and fro with everything and all their belongings in a backpack or in a basket somewhere. I go and said my student Shane manifested a nice job. He phoned me to ask me, and I told him to go forth and be prosperous. I am very happy for you. Oh, the book is him. You only going to manifest and reel in what you truly believe you can do. That's in your realm of belief. We're going to talk about belief in a minute because it segues into taking advice. Shane Yah heeded the advice of HaKohen. And I tell you what, why was this parsha named after Yitro? Can anybody tell me? When you really look at it, why was this parsha named after Yitro? And HaKohen mentioned this in his lecture. At the end of the day, it's all about who you listen to. Now, do you believe that listening to other people is important? Do you believe that you should listen to another person? I submit to you, hands down, yes, you should listen to other people. You should listen to other people. You should take advice from other people. I like the way Yitro puts it. He says, let me give you some counsel. Now, whether you believe the counsel or not, that's on you. But I'm going to put the statement out in advance of my lecture. I'm going to put this statement out. The Chochmah gave me to write down. Belief is equal to, you might want to write this formula down. It'll truly benefit you. Because it has benefited me. Belief is equal to advice acted upon. Say that again. Belief is equal to advice acted upon. Now, that's not belief summed up in the all in all. But that's one layer of belief. Anybody agree with me in the room? Belief is equal to advice acted upon. Now, some people, they'll listen to you and they'll say, I won't believe you, without even acting upon your advice. While others will take it a step further and understand that, how can I say I don't believe when I never put it into practice or I never acted upon the advice? And I submit to you, family, this is why Yitro, and this is why the Torah has given Yitro the parsha named after him, because it's on many different levels. Because what our holy books is telling us is that advice is important. I take advice from it, not Sean, my 16-month-old, 17-month-old, pretty soon. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Nachshon. Nachshon just wakes up in all his glory. But so we must understand this. Is very, very important for us to understand this and believe in this. Is that belief is advice acted upon. You don't want to get that. So belief is advice acted upon. It's very important. Very, very important. Very, very. How many of you in this room have taken advice from HaKohen? Taken counsel, as Yitro put it, from HaKohen? Anybody in this room? Put up a capital A if you have taken advice from HaKohen. Now, if you have, you'll understand. If you believe in what HaKohen is telling you, then this is why you're still here. It's because that belief, that advice that's acted upon, it has benefited you in some way, or it has blessed you in some kind of way because you took the advice. Right now, Sean? Because you took the advice. You heeded the advice. Not only did you just listen to it, but you took the advice and you said, like our forefather said in his parsha, we will do. We're going to do it. Or like Nike says, just do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And so it's very important at whatever you do in your life, advice that you take, and you can take advice from our Kohen, which I highly recommend. I highly, highly recommend that you do that. But also, Hakohen will tell you, just as I will tell you, I have many mentors that I believe in. I have taken advice from them, and it has truly benefited me. Truly benefited me. Truly. Outside of Hakohen. Because when we look at Yitro, we see in our parsha that we told in our holy books that Yitro was a priest, wasn't he? Was Yitro a priest of Israel? Can anybody answer that question? Was Yitro a priest of Israel? Did anybody ever answer that question? To top of that, Oliver, Yitro was not a priest of Israel. Yet, Moses took advice from Yitro, right? What is that telling you? I'm telling you not to be in a closed box, Mishpahah. Not to be in a closed box. But to be open and receptive to advice. And act upon the advice that you believe in. Now, when you go and do that, and it turns out, let me give you an example. I believed in Hagee and his church. I believed in him. And I took his advice. But guess what? When I took the advice of Hagee, I never saw any results. So what does that mean? Now, after a case study, because I did say, okay, I'm gonna believe in what Hagee's saying, and I'm gonna take his advice, and I'm gonna follow through with it. But then nothing came from it. I didn't get any results, Mishpahah. So what does that mean? So that means I don't believe you anymore, Kenneth Hagee. I don't believe in you. I don't believe in what that snake oil that you're selling over. I don't believe in it because I applied it and it didn't work like you said it was supposed to work. You see? So whether you believe it or not, you've been taking advice from people. Now, some of that advice has been beneficial to you while others hasn't. And when the advice is not beneficial, it's not fruitful to you, then what do you need to do? Then you need to not believe in that anymore. But you see, that's one of the biggest things that I see going on in humanity as a student of human nature, is that people still continue to believe without any results. They believe after they act upon the advice and still come up wanting, not successful, not meeting the particular mark that they desire for themselves, not seeing any blessing. Matter of fact, we're seeing just the opposite, the negative side, the negativity side. Yet they still believe. Now, to me, that's not very wise. I'm gonna say it like Yitro said. Yitro said it this way. He said, "That's not good. That's not good." You see, and this is what Hakohen did. And I'm just totally excited for the nuptials that were done. I celebrate with my new family member as well. Family members as well that have done nuptials under the oaths and the vows of our way of life and our way of living. I think that's beautiful. Even in nuptials, Ms. Bahal, one person has to believe in another person. And then the two people come together with their beliefs and become one. And they make vows, right? And they make oaths and they make vows to one another. Right? I mean, this happens at many relationship type levels. You have to believe, you see. Just like we read in our books, in our holy books. We read it like we read in Exodus, in this particular parsha as well. We read it in Exodus chapter 19. I think it's Let's read verses 8 and 9 of Exodus chapter 19. You see it in full disclosure. You see it. Actually, let's read verse, I think it's 8. Yeah, let's read verse 8 and 9. Actually, let's read verse 7. I think verse 7 is important as well and relevant. Of Exodus chapter 19. Again, I read from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, the Truly Great Scrolls. If you don't have this Bible, you can purchase it on Amazon. It truly is going to benefit you, and you establishing your solid rock belief system, and that's belief in yourself. But again, taking advice from others to help formulate your belief. Because if you just believe in yourself by yourself, then you're going to find yourself wanting. And you're going to find yourself, coming up short. Because if your belief is just based upon yourself and you never take outside counsel, then you kind of lost because you really don't know what to do within yourself. Especially if already within yourself it's just like empty anyway. Let's read. Let's start in verse 7 of Exodus chapter 19. So Musa came and called for the elders of the people and laid before them all the words which Yahweh had commanded him. Look at verse 8. Then all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken, we will do. We will do. We have heard it. We have taken this. We have heard the counsel and the advice, and we will do it. We're going to take that advice and put it into action and do it. That, my friends, is belief. If you don't believe me, Torah spells it out here in just a minute as well. And Moshe brought back the words of the people to Yahweh. Now look at verse 9. And Yahweh said to Moshe, behold, I come to you in the thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak to you and believe you forever. There's the belief right there. The belief is in the doing, but you got to hear the words first to do. This is why it's so powerful and why the God of Israel chose such this people. It's because they didn't even hear the words, but yet they said, we will believe. We will do. We will do. See, it's not this, this belief is not this airy-fairy belief that you get from, that just has no substance to it. This belief is all about doing. And when you begin to do anything that HaKohen tells you to do, based upon his advice, his counsel, his instruction, you'll see the results. And then you'll just want to stick with it. Then it's all about just rinsing and repeating. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And that builds up your belief within you, that you begin to truly believe yourself. Because now you have the tools to believe. And your belief is just not based on just some watered down, well, I'm just doing this just because everybody else is doing it. Or I'm just doing this because I read it out of a book. No, you're doing this because you applied. You took the advice and you acted upon it. Thus you believe. That's solid belief. Because you've taken it and you have applied it. You've taken it and you have another A word. You've acted upon it. And you have found it, not leaving you wanting, but leaving you what? With whatever you desired for yourself. With fulfillment. Not wanting, but being fulfilled. And I know all of you on Facebook and all of you on YouTube, you want to be fulfilled. You don't want to be empty. You see the glass as half full, not as half empty. That's a beautiful way to go through life, by the way. Is to always see the positive. I tell you, with this new president that we have, I see America going through a new birthing. And you see a lot of changes really focusing on the people. Regardless of what, if you do this, then it's going to make this go up and blah, blah, blah. We're going to be paying taxes for years. But, come on. That's attaching something to it. How about you just give and then let the universes give back in abundance to this great shepherd nation? You see? But everybody looks at what's attached to the giving. Oh, man, if I give that, then that means my grandchildren's children, grandchildren's children, they'll be paying high taxes forever and blah, blah, blah. You see? But what does that have to do with the now? You see? And again, by the way, don't sleep on the banks as well. The banks are getting ready to benefit from this as well. So buy the dips on the banks. Buy the dips on the banks. I'm telling you, it's going to benefit you. So these are things that you have to look at. That's what we have to look at going forward, Mishpahah. That's what we have to look at going forward. Is truly, what is belief? What is belief for you and I? When we take the advice and we act upon it, that's belief. And you see it through the life of Yeshua ben Yosef. Same thing. Yeshua ben Yosef would tell people, okay, you believe on me? Okay, go and do this. Go and spit and make some mud and put it on your eye. That's that's taking advice and acting upon it. That's belief. Well, I mean, can't you just heal me just like this? Say I'm healed and I'll be healed? What's the substance in that? How are you going to build up your belief that way? You can't do it. You'll start following the man and not the manifestation then. And you don't want to do that. Because the manifestation is what you need to believe in to build you up, to understand that you can manifest as a man on your own. You don't have to follow after somebody else. You follow after your own way, your own desire, your own dreams, Baruch Hashem. That's real. But we need to make it real in our lives. It needs to be real. And the same way that our forefathers said we will do is the same thing you say in relationships, especially those of the marital types, is that we'll do it. We will do it. I'm going to stick to my vows, you will stick to your vows, and we're going to do this. Here in North America, you say I do, don't you? You don't say I don't. You come together, you say I do. Does it always work out? I can be a witness in the testament. Sometimes it don't always work out. Sometimes they don't always do, yet they say they're going to do it. But when you have to act upon it, you realize that the actions don't line up with the words that they're saying. And then you end up in divorce courts, which is, sometimes it's beneficial to do that so the two can be happy apart and go find someone that's going to be more conducive to the action side, the do side, not so much the lip service of just saying I do. The relationship is all about what you do, right? And for those newlyweds, it's very important that you understand that. You want to keep that significant other happy, then you have to continue to do what you did when you were close to that particular individual. And not only that, but to add, chocolate on top of it, to make it even, more sexy. Oh, she was sexy when I met her. You hear that in relationships all the time. Oh, he was handsome when I met her, but then now he's got this beer belly and things change. You have to do what you do. What do you just you love the body or do you love the person? That's what you got to get. You got to get to the root of the matter here. Wait a minute. Were you in love with the person or with just his body? And vice versa. You can say the same way with a woman. Was you in love with the woman or? Oh, my wife tells me all the time. Oh, in China, men love the women super thin that look like sticks. I say, well, if that's what they're into, that's what they're into. But me, I like my wife with meat on the bones. I don't like them super thin, looking like sticks. What is that? Makes it look like I'm not taking care of, like I'm not putting food on the table, because they're not eating. No, I like a healthy woman with meat on the bones, like you, Hansi Bansi. But again, it's what people are into. But what you do, it's all about what you do in any kind of relationship. And more importantly, the relationship that you have with yourself. See, you have to ask yourself, this day, going forward, what am I doing with myself? What am I doing with myself? What am I doing with myself? Am I making myself better? Or am I making myself worse with the actions that I'm doing? Am I staying neutral? Am I not moving at all? What am I doing with myself? Interesting question, right? And it's a question you ask. How am I improving myself? Am I just neutral? Am I going backward? I mean, what's going on? Life is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I mean, life is just so beautiful on many different areas. But if you can't say that, then life is not going to come to you as beautiful. But if you say life is beautiful to me, then that's how life is going to come to you. What scenario do you choose to? When Hakoin was giving his lecture, I imagine this Rolodex. You know, like this Rolodex, you can flip through it, you can flip through the Rolodex. Or like in some of these old diners, how you can select music from these old diners. You have to hit a button and it will turn the page to the next selection of music. I see that with our life. We have so much we can select, so many selections, infinite amount of selections that you can choose from. Which button are you going to press? And hit that button and say, ooh, I believe in this song, or I believe in this. This is what I choose. I choose this for myself. Yeah, y'all want to take the old juke boxes. I choose this song for myself. I choose this one. And click that button and believe that the song is going to play. Just like you believe that vision, that your imagination is coming to pass. You see it. It's real. And you believe it. And you believe it. And you believe it. Because you keep acting on it. And you keep playing it. And you keep acting upon it until you see it in the physical. And then you like, hallelujah, Baruch Hashem. Next imagination up. Next manifestation up. It just doesn't stop. We move from strength to strength to strength, Mishpah. Belief is doing. Belief is acting upon the advice that you take. Hakohen over the years has given many advice, much advice. How much are you going to take in, begin to act upon, and then see it manifest in your life and become real? Because it is real. You just have to what? You just have to call it in. Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. You just have to call it in. You don't have to create it, just call it in. How do you choose to live your life? And you see, this is why so many folks miss it. It's because they spend their life running after something outside of themselves. I don't care whatever it is, but it's outside of themselves. And the inside of themselves is just so hollow because it's never been utilized. Because they've been conditioned to chase things outside of themselves. Because they figure that's where help is. Help is truly within you already. You have the help within you. You just got to nurture it. You just got to recognize it. You just have to see it. But as we talked about in previous lectures, most folks don't have that sight yet to be able to see that. And always remember, it's one of the things that this parsha is really telling us. It's really telling us that you can take advice from anybody. You can take advice in. When you act upon advice and it doesn't work, that's when you have to realize if I believe the advice or not. You see, a lot of folks live their life. Oh, I wish I. Look, he's a really cool guy. He's from India, so we have this like bond. He's from India. He's from India, and I tell you, we just have this bond. And so I gave him some advice the other day. I was like, say, Doc, you need to buy J&J. I don't know. You guys want to pull up that chart right now. Look at J&J. But J&J has been rising for so long. J&J is Johnson & Johnson. And I'm pretty sure some of you have already, majority of you listening to YouTube, something in your house is a Johnson & Johnson product right now. So I was telling the doctor, I said, say, Doc, you need to buy some J&J. J&J had a big rise up. It's just a strong stock. It's just shooting up. But then, because of some of the information, the news that had came out, it retraced. And now it's in buy mode right now, J&J. So it retraced because I think the news came out a while back, maybe like 2 weeks ago. They said, well, J&J vaccine is only 65% something. It was in the 60s or 70 percentile mark effective against the coronavirus and blah, blah, blah. So That's when the retrace came in. Because before that, everybody had hyped up J&J to be all that in a bag of chips. So it retraced back. I tell you, it had a good fall. I think its high was up at 170. Now, I had got in, I think it was 150 something or another. So I said, hey, Doc, you need to buy some J&J. He's like, you think it's too late to get in? You think it's too late? I said, Doc, I'm telling you, I'm giving you some advice. Buy some J&J. So he bought it, I think this is like Wednesday, and then Thursday came around, and I think it was Thursday morning, J&J gapped up high because in the close of the market, after market hours, there was some news that J&J had applied for some kind of emergency, whatever, to, get with the FDA to get it approved. Oh my goodness, J&J shot up like no man's business. Boom, boom, boom. But see, that's the example of taking heed to advice. So then I get a text message from the doctor. He's like, wow, that was great timing. I said, I told you. I said, I see that you heeded the advice. And then here he goes. He says, well, I should have, would have, could. I wish I would have bought more of the stock. I said, no problems. I said, you know what? There are many opportunities to do that very same thing over and over again. I said, when you eat a sandwich, do you eat the whole sandwich or you just take one bite at a time? He said, I take one bite at a time. I said, this is what it's the same way here. You just take one bite at a time. Don't concern yourself about, I should have done this, that, and the other. Be happy and be humble that you did get in and you heeded the advice and that, you're up. You're up on J&J right now. And I told him to hold it. I told him to hold it till it gets till it reaches the highs, till it reaches its prior highs. I think it's up at 170 or something out there. So just hold it. Just be patient. Sit back. Pop your popcorn and enjoy this ride. Because I believe J&J is going to go past 170, but I just hold it to 170. You can take your profits off the table and just wait on another retracement. Buy the dips. A lot of positive stocks out there. But you want to get in on the dips. You don't want to just chase the night. You want to get in when it dips down, you get in at a better price, and then you just watch it ride up. That's life. You're going to have your ups and downs in life. But your downs are going to be short-lived because you're too positive. They can't keep you down. I told that to my sister as she has fully recovered from the COVID. She tested positive for the COVID. Now she texted me the other day, yesterday it was, she said, Shalom, bro, I'm back at work. I said, hallelujah, I knew you would be back at work. Because no weapon formed against you will prosper. And she said, amen. I said, amen. And she's a Jesus believer. I said, hey, believe in your Jesus all you want. I respect your Jesus as well. Baruch Hashem. I believe in Jesus. He was a great man. Very wise man. And he left us with a lot of, he put our Torah in action for us. He gave us the true intended meaning of the Torah. Baruch Hashem. He showed us that we should dump the religion called Judaism. That's what he was telling us in a nutshell. It's a shell of how, your life. What was he telling us? He said, yeah, you can do things that I'm doing. You can do even greater. Wow. Not going to get that in the synagogue. But let me tell you something. Do you want to know how, the modern day Jews, how they are truly blessed now? You want to know how? It's because they say the sounds. They read the Hebrew and they say the sounds. They say the sounds and they say them over and over again. And they say them every day over and they say the sounds and they're repeating the letters and they're repeating our Hebrew characters, the 22 characters. This is how they're getting blessed. By default. They don't even have the full power like you have with the instruction given to us by HaKohi. Do you see it? Some of you were of that same class. You were going through that same road. You were saying the Hebrew characters. You were saying them. You had no substance behind what you were saying, and they still were powerful to you. But now you're matching the act upon with true belief. And now you're seeing results after results after results, and you're manifesting and you're manifesting. And now you understand what life means. When we're told in our holy books that you shall have a life and that life more abundantly. We don't just want to go through this life. We want to go through this life abundantly. Baruch Hashem. But, like I already said, it's all in who you listen to. And this is what this parsha is all about. Who do you listen to? This is probably the first of many examples in our holy books of the who do you listen to factor. Who do you listen to? Who should you listen to? This is why I would encourage you all to never discount the advice that you receive from anybody. Put it into action, see if it works for you. Then you can decide whether you believe on it. But it's even more powerful, like our ancestors did, if you believe, if you're gonna do before what you hear you're gonna do. If you believe it, if you believe, you say, "Oh, I'm gonna do it." From Shiloh Sheol, I'm gonna do it. I already seen the results of what you can do. I'm down with you the rest of this way. But as you can see, I could give a flying flute about numbers. But there's 14 people in this room. And I know a lot of you in this room, you've been here for a while, and you understand at one time, there were, 20, 30, 50 people up in the room, right? How many of you remember that? But they're no longer here now. They decide not to be here for whatever rhyme or reason. That's on them. That's on them. My concern is not about the numbers. Israel is going to always be small, but we do great things because we're small. Because powers can operate through us and show his might with that mighty right hand that's extended, by the way, and open and not closed. Baruch Hashem. The ability to choose. Those same folks that are no longer here had the ability to choose, just like you choose to be here. This is the dimension you want to be in. I was listening to Cody's lecture, the way he was explaining it, and here I am thinking about the Matrix. I love that movie, The Matrix. Here I am thinking about the Matrix, and I'm like, wow. We can jump in from one reality to another reality, whatever we choose for ourselves. Without all the gun shooting and all that. You know what I mean? Unless that's the reality you want for yourself. I don't. Only gun shooting I imagine in my world is I see these dollar bills, these Benjamins, and then these Benjamin bullets are coming at me, and I'm just collecting them. I got this basket there. I'm just collecting all these Benjamins, these Benjamin bullets that are coming at me, and I'm just collecting them, and they keep coming, and they coming in multitudes, and I'm collecting them all over. I tell you, that's what I see. But I'm not seeing no hollow point bullets coming at me that way. I'm seeing Benjamins, Baruch Hashem. And I'm collecting them. And I'm building the Benjamins, baby. What's that song? It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, man. It really is. So we must consider these things we must consider these things going forward, Mishpahah. Is that, we have the ability to choose. Choose to live a mediocre life or choose to live a life infinitely abundant. Not just abundant, infinitely abundant. I say that in my affirmations. I am infinitely abundant. I am abundance, infinitely. Baruch Hashem. Claim it, and you'll be it. Advice. This parsha, Moses received advice to benefit his life. Not to make his life worse, but to benefit his life, to better his life, to bless his life, not to condemn his life or put it down. We're not to be doing that to anybody, condemning them and put them down and shaming anybody. That's not our place as human beings, and more importantly, as children of Israel. We're here to uplift people, to gird up people, to strengthen them, to tell them that they can move from strength to strength and not from weakness to weakness, to show them that you can move from strength to strength and not weakness to weakness, to be innovators and inventors and to manifest things and create things for these nations that we're in, to have ideas, to be beneficial to the nation. Because I'm going to ask you this question. Was Yitro benefited by Moses? Fair question, right? Was Yitro benefited by Moses? You all know the story in our holy books. Was Yitro, was Jethro benefited by Moses? Anybody want to answer that question? I mean, we see in our holy books time and time again that, Yitro is called the father, Moses' father-in-law. Was Yitro benefited by Moses? Oh, absolutely. But let's flip the script. Was Moses benefited by Yitro? Anybody want to take a shot at that question? It goes both ways. I submit to you, yes. And I would say happily yes. Because Moses received why from Yitro? Son-in-law? Maybe. And I tell you, the greatest benefit in the world is a wife or wives. Why do you think our forefathers had so many of them? Yithro's daughter. My goodness. Why do you think our forefathers had so many wives? Indeed, Lion Princess, mutually benefited. So I submit to you the same thing today. And we already discussed that Yitro was a priest, but he wasn't a priest of Israel. You see it there in chapter 1 of verse 18 of the book of Exodus. When Yitro what is the Torah trying to tell us more importantly is that you can take advice from anybody. You don't have to be in your circle of influence. I would encourage you all to expand your horizons. Come out of your bubbles. Come out of that box and see the world as round. And you can go around and round it, and you can learn something from anybody. You can take advice from anybody. Just when you apply it and it doesn't work for you, then don't believe in it. Don't just off the cuff, oh, I don't believe in you because you're not one of my kind. Oh, my goodness. Cody will tell you from the business side, a lot of these business mentors that we have on the business side of things and just learning about businesses, these guys are not of the house of Israel. Yet, we hold them in high esteem. They're very wise men, and they give great instruction and great counsel that we can take, and they kind of manipulate to our own benefit and use. Pick and choose and use certain things. So, I mean, everyone in the relationships that you've been in, come on, Ms. Bahar, you cannot say that all these relations that you've been in that have been learning experiences for you because you didn't win from them, but you learned from them. You can't say that those relationships were 100% bad. You can take some good out of every relationship that you've been in and apply it and take it going forward. That will propel you and boost you to the next relationship. You see? Deborah says you can learn something from everyone. What to do and what not to do. Oh, indeed, Deborah. And we need to have that particular kind of mindset and be open to it. Because I know a lot of folks, and they think just like the doctor. Oh, man, if I'd have just bought more in the stock. But you're already up, Doc. You should be happy. You're up on J&J. Ride that baby. You're up on it. If you realize that you want more, then, put more in now. But you don't Monday morning quarterback it. You don't say, well, I wish I... Yeah, that's utilizing precious energy that can be placed somewhere else. Or you don't say, man, if I just would have got into the Torah earlier, if I just would have got in at a younger age and blah, blah, blah. What? I mean, you waste.
Yeah, looks like Rabbi Kefa is rebooting to get back sound. So we'll just wait to hear from him. I see that he's logged out, is rebooting his system. He should be back soon.
Okay, Ms. Bahar, I should be back up and running. So what we don't want to do is Monday morning quarterback things, and to for your responses. We don't want to Monday morning quarterback things and sit there and complain about things on actions that we already took. Now that's behind you. Now what are you going to do going forward today? And majority of the time, a lot of, the human nature out there, as students of human nature, we see that individuals is that they concern themselves about things that have already happened. So what we need to do now is to take now and then move forward with them. That's important. With right now, with the actions that you're acting upon, because that's going to build your belief system. So we see that with Yitro. This is the exact same thing. And just like Yitro said, and I see how Toy said the same thing to the crowds, the marital, to the family, the married couples and their family and friends and the congregation as well. And said, wait a minute, what you're doing is not good. What you're doing is not good. And we read that in Exodus chapter 18, verse 17. Father-in-law comes on the scene. He says, and in verse 17, so Moshe's father-in-law said to him, this thing that you do is not good. I mean, I have greatness. So if I'm not doing good, then please correct me. Give me some guidance. Give me some instruction that's going to put me on the right track. I'm going to apply it. I'm going to take your actions, and I'm going to act upon them, and then I'm going to see if that's going to make that not good even better. You see, just like how Chloe was doing with the congregations there. Hey, look, what you're really doing is not good. I mean, you can do it if you want to waste a lot of your precious periods of your life just on things that are really not good. Let me expound on some things that can make it better for you, so you can apply and focus all your energy on these things that's gonna, be beneficial to you in this life. If you want to continue with the traditions, hey, that's cool. That's up to you. And just and Yitro says the same thing. Boy, I tell you, great. Who do you listen to? Wow. This part should put the tail on the donkey, huh? Look at verse 18. Both you and these people who are with you will surely wear yourselves out. Because, Yitro just gets right to the grits and the grains. You don't wear yourself out this way. You're going to go through life just wearing yourself out. Just continue doing the same old thing, bro. Oh, I can't believe in that. My desire is not to wear myself out. So this thing is too much for you. You are not able to perform it all by yourself. See, this is what happens. Some folks have that particular mindset. As students of human nature, you probably know people the same way. They figure they can by themselves. They don't need your assistance. They don't need your guidance. This is why some folks are not here right now. They don't need their guidance and assistance over Kohen. They don't need that. Because they read earlier that they are a kingdom of priests. But they forgot to read the verse up there. If you keep the commandments. The children of Israel have lost the title of priesthood. We don't have that. How many of you understand that? That title has been given to the sons of Aaron. We lost that because we forgot about the if and the then part. We forgot about the if part. They just on the then part. Oh, then we're kingdom. So we're a kingdom of, we're the priesthood. We are the priesthood. But we don't need a Kohanim. We don't need the sons of Aaron anymore. They're faded away. They're done away with. We're the priesthood according to the Bible that I read. No, you see, that's what happens when you listen to the wrong instruction, or you decide, oh, I can do this by myself. We get phone calls a lot, and people say, well, Rabbi, what am I to do? Well, I said, well, you got to get under the umbrella of the priesthood. That's what Israel does. Oh, no, Rabbi. I feel like I can study by myself. I can do this by myself. But yet they continue to call in with questions when they read the Abrahamic-Faith Bible. Well, what does this mean? But no, wait a minute. You said you could do it by yourself. You got to get under the umbrella of the Kohen to really understand the instructions, the commandments of our Torah. And if you don't do that, then you're going to struggle. And just like Yitro says, this is not good. This thing that you do is not good. Totally not good. And you're going to wear yourselves out. You're going to wear yourselves out. And I'm not going to continue to sit here and answer your question after question after question after I had instructed you to get under the umbrella of the Kohen, but you don't want to do that. So why am I going to sit here and answer your question when you don't believe in me? You see? Why? Because you did not act upon the advice that was given you, so you don't believe. So why am I going to waste my periods of my life answering your questions because you want to do it by yourself? And just like Yitro said, great instruction here. Who do you listen to? You better listen to Yitro. The Torah thought he was so important that it named this parsha was named after him. Advice amongst other things, but he was Musa's father-in-law. He birthed the daughter that Musa married, Ukashim. You are not able to perform it by yourself. This is great guidance, great instruction. So then we all understand and know what he's told to do. But what can we learn from this? We can learn that advice is warranted. It truly is warranted. And you should seek out advice and don't consider doing things by yourself. This is when you're going to find out that, the thing that you do is not good. Because the results come down, because they will, because results come down in two forms. It comes down in the form of negativity, and it comes down in the form of positivity. Which side are you on? You got good results or you got bad results? What do you get? This the crux of life. Wherever you at right now, what are you getting? You're getting good results or you're getting bad results? In your life right now, look at your life. Question yourself. Most folks run around too busy wanting to question other people. How about you question yourself? Well, where is my life right now? Am I happy with myself? Do I actually love myself in their spirit of Valentine's? Oh, my goodness, the spirit of it. Hey, you want to talk about loving your mate or loving your loved one? Do you love yourself? When the last time you bought yourself some chocolate? When the last time you bought yourself some roses? When the last time you treated yourself to just an awesome meal? Do you love yourself? You see? Do you love yourself? Before you can love anybody else, you must love yourself. You see people buying chocolate today for their loved one today, but then tomorrow, you give them chocolate. Tomorrow, they're giving them divorce papers. Well, what happened? You see, that's that love with no substance to it. But you want to have substance to it. Because your love is based on the I do. What are you doing? What are you doing for the individual? Not one day. How about 365 days out of the year? What are you doing? Are you making their life better or are you making it worse? Are you making your life better or are you making it worse? You see, we just don't want to run roped with the conditioning that the nations give you. Oh, on this time you have to do this, and then this time all these traditions that they want you to uphold. No. You want to live your life free. And that's what the Torah does. It frees you to live your life like you want to live it. And you set the rules. You make the rules underneath the parameters of our just awesome parameters of our rules. I mean, you have so much flexibility. It's crazy. But too many people point to the wrongs and not all the rights that are out there. Shoot. So what? We're not permitted to eat pork. I'm truly happy with that. Because majority of the medical field, the doctors out there telling you that pork is not really healthy for the body. But you can consume it, but it really does affect the body in many, many ways. That's just one side of it. So, I mean, you have to ask yourself the question, am I free? Are you free? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Are you free? Do I feel free or do I feel constrained? Do I feel like I got shackles on me? I mean, how do I feel about myself right now? Where am I at with myself right now? Because the number one relationship as a human being that a human being needs to have is the relationship that they have with themselves. It starts with self. Took me a long time to figure that out, by the way, but I'm talking to you from experience. So whether you heed my advice or not, that's up to you. But I would encourage you to do so So that way you're not wasting your time. Time is valuable. Time is so valuable. I tell you, it really is. Time is so valuable. And just like someone said earlier, too many people are caught up on time. But this period that you're going through, your sojourn in this life, and condolences, Oliver, for your family member. But they probably already chalked up and queued up for the next life, Mukashem. But in this life, in your sojourn in this life, Mishpahah, how you want to go through it? You know, literally, how do you want to go through it? And I'm pretty sure Oliver has some great memories with the cousin. There's some great memories. I would encourage you to keep those with you forever, because that's what life is about. You're making memories. I remember doing this. I remember doing this. I remember doing this. I remember doing this, that, the other, third. Remember that. And for those of you who are still walking this earth and sojourning through it, make memories, because whether you believe it or not, you're making them. It's just what memories, what type of memories do you choose to make? Just like, who do you choose to listen to? You have choices, Mishpah. You have so many choices. Nobody in this room is forced to be here. I don't think you could do it by yourself, because you can. Torah is telling us in this parsha that we must take advice from others, and maybe others that are outside of what we consider our understanding, of those that may not agree totally with us 110%. Are we to revolt against them and shoot them down and restrict them? No, you're to welcome them and welcome their advice. Act upon their advice. See what happens. What materializes from it. If it works for you, so be it. You believe in their advice. If it don't work for you, then you dump their advice like a hot potato. Like that habanero pepper, and then you keep moving. Don't continue to believe in stuff that don't work. I'm telling you, Ms. Bob, that's wasting your time. You wear yourself out. I tell you. I love what Yitro says. How many of you in this room want to wear yourself out? Nobody wants to be worn out. Don't wear yourself out. Thinking about the past. Thinking about the future. What? Put yourself in the now and live in that state. Because you can call it in right now. You can reel it in right now, Rabbi Zakaria. You can call it in right now. You don't have to wait for it. Reel it in right now and continue reeling it in. Tomorrow, what you doing? I'm reeling it in. I'm calling it in. Whatever terminology you want to put on it, and make it personal. Personalize it. Maybe come up with your own term for it. Reeling it in, calling it in, whatever you want that is gonna help you, facilitate you seeing and believe and increase your belief in what you truly believe in. But I tell you, this is truly what I see. Is that a lot of folks can't get to the true foundation of belief is because they continue to search for belief outside of themselves. They're looking for Jesus in a taco. They're looking for God on top of a mountain. They're going for places outside of themselves. They're looking for God in a man, in a woman. They're looking for it in a meal. I tell you. It's very common to find Jesus on a tortilla down here in San Antonio. You find them all the time. Oh, they take pictures and it goes viral. Oh, did you see Jesus? He was in that tortilla. And then they put the tortilla on the wall and everybody come and pour holy water on it and everybody's bowing down to it and blessing it and everybody wants to touch it so they can pass out and get the glory, the divine glory of the Shekinah placed upon. I tell you. No, you don't have to go to all these far places. You just have to go within yourself. But I tell you, most folks aren't there yet. Just like our Kohen said in his lecture, some folks are still running to a building. Oh, I'm going to find God in this building. No, you're not. You're going to find God inside yourself. When you leave the building, you left God? Is that what happens? No way. The powers of Israel is always with us. Wherever we go. And as you can see, we're all over the place, aren't we? Wherever we go, Mishpah. Those of you listening via Facebook and YouTube, you affirm that as well. Because we're all over the place. And you could be listening to this lecture, 5, 10 years from now, and it's still there. Social media is only going to get more social. Believe you me. Believe you me. There's going to be a lot of SPACs coming up with new created social medias. Believe you me. Akoi said, some running to Israel to find God. They only find high hotel bills. Yeah, Akoi. Yeah. I totally get that one. Yeah, but they run into the Holy Land. Thinking that, okay, God is in the Holy Land. Only there is God. Only there will I find God, the source energy. Oh, God is with us wherever we are, man. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, you got to get that. That's a good one. I got a good laugh over this one. But yeah, it's true. But when we unlock God within, oh, my goodness, you realize there's nothing that you cannot do. There's nothing that you cannot do. Because we're all about doing. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? I'm going to close with this, and then we're going to go to chapter 18, and we're going to see what did Moses do. Look at chapter 18. Look at verse 24. So Moshe heeded the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he said. He followed through. And I guarantee you, Moshe after that did what? After that, Moshe was no longer wearing himself out. I tell you, how many of you can empathize and sympathize with what Yitro said when he talked about the wear out part? I mean, I was worn out with Catholicism, with Christianity. I was just totally worn out. And I got to the point where, look, man, Sunday was my day to work in the garden. I was totally done with this stuff, man. I literally wore out. Not for those of you who were with me at one time, you understand what Yitro was saying when he gave the instruction. Man, look, you're going to wear yourself out. And believe me, I'm worn out not for not trying. I'm trying everything. It didn't work. So I'm not going to continue to do something that doesn't work. That doesn't make any sense to me, on a common sense level. But I'll tell you this, in the study of human nature, a lot of people don't have no common sense. How many of you know people, you look at them and you realize that they don't have common sense. They don't have that. It's like buried deep within them. They don't have common sense, yet they have all the book knowledge in the world. They can quote you this philosopher and that philosopher, and they can quote you this out of this book, but they have no common sense. I know people like that. Rabbi Zachariah says common sense is not common anymore. Oh, indeed it's not. Common sense is a gift. Common sense is a gift now because people haven't unlocked it part. You know why? You know why I say common sense is a gift? Is because people don't live in the present. You have to live now. You have to live now. You have to live in the present to receive the gift. And I learned that from Kung Fu Panda. You have to live in the present to receive the gift. What are you saying, Rabbi? You have to live in the now. You have to live now to truly receive the gift. You can't live in the future. You can't live in the past. You have to live life in the now. That's why it's called present. Because it truly is a gift. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up for this Shabbat. But isn't that beautiful? And I learned that from Kung Fu Panda. I'm watching Kung Fu Panda. Life is truly it's a gift. That's why they call it present. Because it is a gift. But you got to be present to get the gift to live. You got to live in the now. And this is where people, they waste all their energy in the future or in the past. And that's why they miss the gift of now They miss the gift of present because they're not present. Oh, man, dude. Yeah, she broke my heart back then, Rabbi. Well, that was back then. Your heart is still pumping, so you got to live now. Go out and find that sugar cube, that Hunzy Bunzy, that cinnamon roll right now. You got to be present and accounted for. You got to account for yourself. Wow. I tell you, that's good stuff, isn't it, Miss Bob? But it's true. We have to live life right now. You make your future now. Right now. Choose what you want to do. But it's all about the advice factor. So when I look at this portion, I see it named after a man, a great man. He gave great advice. Somebody mentioned it earlier. He gave counsel. He gave advice. He gave counsel that was heeded. Exodus chapter 18, verse 19. That's just what he says. He says this, listen now to my voice, and I will give you counsel. Do you see that? And I will give you counsel. Who do you listen to? You look at the results in your life, and it'll tell you whether you or not you need to change counsel or not. I look at, and I'm going to tell you, he and I both, we've circulated a lot of money to learn how to invest in the currency market, in the stock market. But I tell you what, you start to see the fruits, and then you say that was a great investment. And regardless if you invest in something and it don't turn out, well, guess what? You don't lose. You learn something. Because even from the mentors that we took on, that maybe they were okay, but it wasn't what we were looking for. We still gained something from them. Took something from them. So you learn. But we're always winners. And we're going to continue to go from strength to strength to strength. Why? It's because we're humble. That's one of the key characteristics of the Hebrews. The Abrahu, the Abrahu, is that we're humble people. And we're not haughty. We're not high, although we're eagles. But our character is to stay humble so that we can hear. And then we can act upon, and then we can believe. That's real. So on that note, we'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. I'll say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you, Mishpah. Have a great 6 days of labor ahead. More importantly, have a great Shabbat. Enjoy your family members, friends, and loved ones. And let's keep it moving forward. Let's keep it moving forward and heed the advice. I know some of you want to start businesses. Take the advice from business people to start a business, from successful business people. You want to be a millionaire? Get you some millionaire mentors. You want to be a billionaire? Listen to and read about the billionaires and take heed. Take advice because they give it. And some of this stuff you can get for free. If you listen to podcasts, there's billionaires that go on podcasts. Millionaires that go on podcasts. They go on one I really like to do is that, what do they call that? TED Talks. Oh, I love some TED Talks. Well, you get some innovation on TED Talks. Man, you get that TED Talk app, and I tell you, you can get all kind of ideas. But it's all out there. I tell you. The TED Talks. I tell you, it's good stuff. Watch documentaries. I encourage you to do that. I learned that from my Kohen. Watch documentaries. You'll learn a lot about individuals and about, the ups and downs. They soar high and then they retrace and then they soar high again. That's life in a nutshell. Look at here. But we stay positive throughout. We stay strong and we move from strength to strength. So on that note, I say Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Over to you, Kohen.
Atoda for that, Rabbi Kefa. So come back to the point, is the last thing you want to look at before you go to bed is a horror movie. So you don't want to do that. The last thing that you need to do before you go to bed, you want to look at a good, a documentary on rich people, on their yachts, on their houses, on how they live. There's lots of YouTube videos on that, on different individuals in the world, like how Bill Gates lives, and And what does the richest person in Saudi Arabia do with his wealth, or what does other rich people do in India with their wealth? So those are the kind of videos you need to look at before you go to sleep, because they will impact your mind. If the last thing you looked at is like a horror movie, for instance, and some people love horror movies. If that's the last thing you looked at, then you go to bed and you'll be thinking that that whatever you saw in the horror movie is coming at you in your dreams. So you don't want to do that. So you want to go to sleep with the wealth conscious mindset, and that will help you a lot. Now next week I'm going to take you through some new methods that I have been developing and working on, and we'll speak about those, how to apply them. Now, any of you this week have any testimonies to share in text or otherwise? The things that you've been doing, the different chants, the different sounds, the gimel, the alif, the tav, the shin, the mem. If you have anything to say on that, by all means, please type it in the text. Or if you're still working on it, then that's okay, because we'll wait to hear from you. But like I said, that Shane had called me, and he told me that he had been offered a job that he was refused in the past, and had been offered it this time. Of course, his field is designing trucks and so on and so forth, logos and things and other bits and bobs. So he told me that he's been offered the job, and I said, go get it, go for it and be blessed in it. And that would be his mid manifestation, because he's aiming for his own business eventually. So don't discard the idea that when you're looking for a business, your mid manifestation might be that you actually working in some kind of a role, in a job role, and then from there you go on to your business idea, because there are stages. And remember, we spoke earlier about states, and there are states. Which state do you call into being? Which version of yourself are you calling into being in this 3D world? And then whatever state you desire will come into being. Now it may be that there are midway states as well. The midway states might only be temporary until you get to the final state. So because you continue to work your final state, and that is done through different methods: visualization, scripting. Maybe you speak into the water, the 2-cup, the 2-glass method, quantum jumping. Those are the methods that you may use, or these are the kind of three modes that you may use with water for memory retention, that you would drink afterwards, the state that you want to be. So because water remembers, one good idea is to have your affirmations in front of you, whether on a tablet or a computer or a paper. And you want to read all your affirmations into a glass of water, and the glass of water that you read into is the one that is got water in there. And once you read it into the glass of water, now that water you can add to a bigger container from which you drink. So the bigger container now takes in the glass of water's memory into the bigger container, and it now holds that that sound that you spoke into it. And once you spoke into that sound, you drink it. The other thing that you can also do is put a glass of water before you chant those sounds. When you're chanting the gimel, when you're chanting the aleph, when you're chanting the tav, you're chanting these different sounds, a mem, what you do is you chant into the water glass, and then add that glass of water into your jug or the big bottle of water that you have as your container where you take the water from. And when you do that, you're actually now putting all the power of that sound. The water is like a recorder. It's recorded it. Now you put it into the water, you mix it some, and then what you do, you drink from that. Now all day, your body cells, this water goes right down to your body cells, and it's going through your gut, your stomach, is going into your intestines, it's going into your different cells. Imagine now that sound reaching into your cells. So it activates all those cells. Is just absolutely brilliant to do that. So that's something you may want to do as well. Another thing that I would describe is that if you have those bracelets that you wear, the stones ones like the Pichu or the wealth bracelet, or the different stones that you may have purchased in the past. One other thing that you can do is you can speak into the stone. You can speak your affirmation into the stone, and the stone holds that affirmation. It doesn't lose it. It's recording. Stones also record, by the way. And so whatever you say is being recorded. Hadassah Grace is saying that my right arm is healed. I was having pain from sleeping on it. I read Psalm 3 from the Hebrew characters, the power to have praise answered. I followed the instructions accordingly and got results in a week. That's Baruch Hashem. That's absolutely wonderful to hear that, Hadassah. And I think, yes, more people need to put to application the instructions so that they can benefit from it. And you will, ultimately, if you follow the instructions, you will benefit from it. Ultimately, you will benefit from it. And don't give up, some things can come in few days, something can take a few weeks, and something may take a few months, and some things will take a few years. Like that story of the lady we heard last week, that she was, putting some numbers into the lottery that she knew will come up one day, and she did that for 20 years without fail. She believed it, that is going to happen, and it took 20 years for that to come to pass. Now, of course, she could have mitigated it to come faster, but of course, she just simply had a simple faith. She didn't know how to speed up the manifestation. If she knew how to speed it up, that could have happened in 10 years. It could even happen 5 years or less, maybe in a year, how fast that could have happened. So this is not to say that, I'm not saying to you that you have to wait 20 years. That's a long time. That requires a long patience, and it requires maturity and perseverance. But I am saying that most of your manifestations that you are desiring should happen within a year. Now, unless you want to be a billionaire, and if that took a decade, that took 10 years, I can believe that's possible. In 10 years, you can become a billionaire. But I do not believe that you need 20 years or 50 years to become a billionaire. I do not believe that. That is absolutely not true, because I heard a billionaire give testimony in a podcast that he became a billionaire in 10 years, in a decade. And and you probably know the man as well. I've probably spoken about him in the past. And he came from nothing. His book is called Homeless to Billionaire. So from homeless to billionaire, from nothing to something. So I'm not saying that everybody wants to be a billionaire. Some people may have a desire to have a few $1 million in their bank. Maybe a few £1 million might make you happy and might make you content. And so that's okay. If £2 million in your bank will make you content, great. You aim for £2 million. If $5 million will make you happy, you can be content with $5 million. And if your aim is to go for higher, then who says you can't go higher? Only you can decide that. So remember, these are all states. You decide what state you call into being. If you want to call the state where you have $100 million in your bank, then that's the state you call in. If you want to call the state that says you have $600 million in your bank, then that's the state you call in. Because there is a version of you out there with that amount of money. It's already there. You just need to call it in. Now, how you call it in? Very simple. You don't need to make any fancy words. You simply say, if you want to call in $600 million or $500 million, you say, I am $500 million. I am $500 million. That's your state. That's what you're calling in. Simcha, I can't quite understand your question. Can a blessing from guilt that had been requested be removed? I really don't understand that question, the wording of it. What do you mean, can a blessing from guilt that had been requested be removed? No, it can never. I think I kind of understand what you're saying. The answer is no. The blessing that you have received from a guilt or a gift, if you meant gift or guilt, if you've been requested a blessing, then no, it can never be removed. No one can remove the blessing that God has placed on you. No one. Not even I can do that. I don't even have the authority to remove a blessing from you that God has bestowed upon you. Okay? So the answer is no to that. Where God has said something, it supersedes it. And so, therefore, it's very important to understand that whatever blessing that God has bestowed upon the children of Israel can never be removed. You've got to call them in, though. You can forget about them. You probably have distant memory about it, and you've forgotten about it, but you got to call it in. And that's where I come in, to remind you to call it in. These are states. And if you don't call it in, if all you speak about is curses, then you're calling in the curses. And you can find those kind of people in New York, state, standing in squares, Times Square somewhere, calling out curses upon themselves. And I definitely would not be part of those people over there. So, you want to be part of the people that call in the blessings. That's the state you want to be in. I told you, the version of husband you want is out there. You need to call him in. What kind of husband do you want? Do you want the one that swears at you? Do you want the one that beats you up? Do you want the one that loves you and looks after you? Do you want the one that is, abundant in wealth, and he has abundance in love, and he has a graceful, look, and he wants to be the love of your life? Then that's the husband you call into state. That state is out there. And if you're still, if you're still wondering, then you haven't heeded the instruction yet. You need to really think about the husband you want. Of course, no wife wants a nasty husband. Every wife wants a good husband, a good, righteous, loving man that will look after you. So that's a desire. That's a desire that you write it down and then you call it into being. Call that state. You need to come out of the questioning and you need to go into the actioning. It's now time for action, not for questions. And when your actions comes into pass, your questions are already answered for. So next week we'll talk about different methodologies to bring in our state, and I will teach you powerful methodologies next week, how to bring in your state quicker into your life, and what other things to do that will help you. So with that, I'm going to say good night over here because my time is late, and it's already close to 10:30 over here. And with that, a great new week to you over there. A great Shabbat to you. It's only 12:15 in New York, 12:18. So have a great week, great day, and as you receive those nice checks from the president, give a blessing to the man as well. Bless his name, because give him a blessing, bestow a blessing upon him, because he is thinking about you, the American people, and I would definitely bestow a blessing upon that man for good leadership, making the right choices, making good decisions, and making America truly great. And as he said, we are back. America is back, and definitely America needs to be back, because the world looks upon America. Where I am, in other countries, people talk about America and they will look upon America to set the examples, and we need to set the examples that other nations will look at and follow. So with that, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom to you. If you wish to support our work, you can go to www.forever-israel.com or www.Abrahamic-Faith.info, and there is a donate now icon for PayPal, and you can send in a donation of your choice from that particular address. You can also use Cash App, and you can use PayPal directly, and you can send a donation to Shimon63, SHIMOUN63 at yahoo.com, or you can send a donation to $SIMALT with the Cash App. We greatly appreciate your support in this endeavor for us to spread the truth and the correct way for people to better their lives and to serve the God of Israel in their lives. Thank you, and may you be blessed forever. Amen. Amen.